Okay, we're doing an alternator on a 2004 Ford Escape. Sometimes these could be a pain. The newer ones are a little bit harder, but it's not much different. You have to get out this bracket right here. There's both here, one up top, up there, and one on the end over here. And then with that out, you can pull the alternator right out. I'm going back together now, so I put that back in. Now I'm going to hook the alternator back up and then show you the procedure to keep going. All right, thanks. So what I always do is I start that top bolt first. And that kind of lines it up and holds it in there. So you can put in the bottom too. And then you can get the axle back in there and put it all back together. So if you have wobble sockets and a long extension, you can get to this bolt right like this. Tighten it, and then you can get it right from the outside here. These axles go in pretty easy. You just line the marks up with the studs that are back there, and there's no bearing to knock out because it's just a holding bracket. So these are actually pretty easy to get the axle out of. All right, so the axle's back in. Those bolts are tightened. You'll also need that same long extension and wobble to put those back in. So they're kind of in there a little bit. But once you get them in there, it's smooth sailing. So when you get it all done, this is how the belt runs. Around that idler, up over the top there, to the power steering pump, over to the alternator, then back down around the tensioner, and then around the crank. And then all we have left to do is put this back in. And then you have to torque this axle nut to 214 foot-pounds. The way I do it is I'll go in and put something on the brake and have it hold it and then torque it. But other than that, just tighten that up, put the wheel on and put those bolts in, and it's a wrap. It's a job that takes about maybe 2 hours tops. Not too bad. Okay. So one more thing, you gotta put the strut bolts back in, put the knuckle back on there, put them through there, make sure your ABS wire is coming around this way, and then that just bolts back up into here, and then it's a wrap. So yeah, just get those started and finish it up. So that nut is torqued down. Those bolts are tightened. So the tools you'll need for this job is a long extension, a wobble 13, a 10 millimeter, a ratchet, 18 millimeter socket and wrench, and a 32 millimeter for the axle nut.